What's cooking, folks? Vermillion Phoenix here, and today we're jumping into some more Orcs Must Die Unchained. This time we're heading into Frostbite Fortress. This is probably going to be one of the harder maps because we're doing it with Tundra, and that means that everything is basically going to be resistant to your normal damage. So we're going to have to count on things that'll increase our damage, like grouping up enemies and using fire traps, neither of which Tundra particularly has any excellence with. I mean, nobody, as far as I know, has any bonuses to fire traps other than kind of Smolder's ability to place naphtha at no charge, but I guess the devs probably thought that fire traps were kind of too strong in general, except for the brimstone. Let's see. This is the Tundi deck. I guess I can just go with it as is. We're probably not going to be using the ice vent, so we can change that to something else that might be interesting. But what? There are some ceilings here. I was about to say there weren't any, but there are some that are actually pretty good. We could decide to bring a spike wall. The part here is going to be kind of tight though. Things that can deal damage to multiple enemies would be beneficial. We haven't used Haymaker in a while, we might as well. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So, just to be safe, these guys are gonna hit us and we might get frozen a few times. Alright, let's do it this way.
You shall not be disappointed.
Alright, there we go. So let's see here. For anybody that happens to be trying to par this, I'm going to recommend not putting floor scorchers up against the gate facing backwards. It's a good way to crowd control them and slow them down, but it will eat up any extra par time that you have.
Well placed, I think. I suppose it will do its
Alright, we'll drop one of these.
I do not love these, but I suppose I love our enemy less.
Okay.
The enemy has opened a minion portal.
So we're going to need to take as many AoE abilities as possible. Probably going to take the AoE ice shards and
They've broken through a gate.
place a lot of fire traps around to make sure that these guys are sort of under control. Remember, shielded enemies under any status effects cannot block. Or I should say under any stuns can't block. They technically drop their shields. Alright. Grab brittle ice for the extra damage. They used to have deep freeze, the bonus to enemies being, the bonus duration to enemies being frozen as a tier 2 upgrade, I think. Before they sort of removed Tundra's OP-ness. That was one of the stronger choices for him. Alright, there we go. Almost nothing's getting through here well, which is great.
I would rather feel my enemy's last breath upon my cheek. I suppose it will do its duty.
Alright, now we need to actually try to defend this area so that things don't get through it. We're just going to block it off with a couple of barricades. Now, I don't have enough of the ballistas to actually make what I need to happen, so we're going to have to take out this guy first manually, and then hopefully we can destroy whoever he was supporting without it being a big deal. Tundra's health pool is pretty high. If possible, just go ahead and freeze this guy, back off a little bit so that you can get your health up to a reasonable level. He really made that a lot harder than it needed to be. Oh. Okay. So these guys will have to push through here now.
Well placed, I think. If we must. Paid for in blood.
Howdy, y'all.
Because I want that extra speed.
The army is attacking on another front.
Trespassing. I do not love these, but I suppose I love our enemy less. Crude, but I suppose we must stop at nothing.
They've broken through a gate.
Watch out! An unstable rift is opening.
Alright,
Go to it and
that
destroy
unstable rift location is actually just above here. Nope, I'm sorry, that's under.
Weapon of war.
It's not above the steps, it's behind them.
Destroy the unstable rift.
If it's on the steps, it's up here. These guys may not die from that yet. Guardian on the right is not going to do all of our heavy lifting for us, but he will contribute quite a
Steel
bit.
and magic are a poor substitute for claw and tooth. If we must, I suppose it will do.
Alright, that should be the last set of flamey things we need to put over there.
Fights as they are trained. Well placed, I think. I do not love these, but I suppose I love our enemy less. Let's see how you fare while stick.
Weird, my primary attack didn't happen there for a bit. I think the changes in elevation were preventing the auto attack from happening.
Experience is the forbear of wisdom.
Alright, we're gonna take the icicle burst or icicle assault for the extra shot. We really need that
I would rather feel my enemy's last breath upon my
to just AoE some of the more sturdy enemies. Basically these guys. Because without fire, they are quite annoying to fight. Yet you need some sort of damage over time ability or else they just do not get handled well. I also would have benefited greatly from having a grinder.
Poor substitute for claw and tooth.
We're gonna leave it like that for now. Head back here. If you can set up a couple of these in advance, that's a good idea.
But I suppose we must stop at nothing.
Then we're gonna burn them and then do the usual shenanigans.
I suppose it will do its duty. Well placed, I think. I do not love these, but I suppose I love our enemy less. If we must.
Okay, so like I said before, the Guardian on the right is gonna hold things down pretty well. He hasn't taken too much damage, which is nice. But after a while, he will sort of just falter.
Howdy, y'all.
Guardians aren't made to basically hold lanes on their own. And if you don't have enough traps to actually handle the enemies before they get to the Guardians, eventually the Guardian will just die.
No thief can cover it.
Yeah, we're just gonna freeze you now. Let the Guardian do his thing. Alright, now he's wrecked too. That's good. Freezer Burn is good, but Shattering Icicle is what I'm going to go for, because instances of damage are really important here. And unfortunately, rather than Freezer Burn doing a lot of smaller ticks over the period that enemies are frozen, it does two large ones. Once after they've been frozen for a second, and another right before the freeze ends, or right after they break out of the freeze, which is really bad. It means that the first one gets boosted due to Tundra's passive, but the second one does like half its damage. Like, I'm thinking you might be able to improve it a bit if you take respect my authority,
Rift is opening. It must be
but
destroyed.
it's no guarantee. You need respect my authority as well as respect my authority as well as
The sting of winter
permafrost.
And our heroes destroyed the unstable rift. And there was much
No,
rejoicing.
deep freeze, sorry. To get the most damage out of it, and I really don't like the fact that all of that feels kind of necessary. It's gonna seem like I'm wasting time by not having those enemies out there killed, but they're gonna die trying to get through the Guardian, so I'm just gonna kind of let them do their thing.
Steel and magic
Trying to
are a
get
poor
out.
substitute for claw and tooth. I would rather feel my enemy's last breath upon my cheek. I do not love these, but I suppose I love our enemy less.
Enemies are attacking on another front.
If we must, I suppose it will do its duty.
Howdy, y'all.
Rude, but I suppose we must stop at nothing.
So these guys should get wrecked pretty hard just from all of the burning that's going to be happening here. We got stacked slows. We got a lot of ballistas coming in, so when their health gets somewhat low and they start essentially just trying to run away,
Well
we
placed.
won't have to worry about that so much. Areas that I have not defended as well include this rear area in the back here.
You do not belong here.
And things that I should have done here include
Steel
something
and
like
magic
this.
are a poor substitute for claw and tooth.
a bit of that. And the slow as the enemies are kind of coming in.
The rift will be protected.
If we must. Continuous improvement of the mind is better than any weapon of war.
The most important thing to look out for is enemies getting through on the two right lanes. They're the hardest to defend with the traps that I have here. Grinders would do a lot better over here on the right, but I don't have any, so
Crude, but I suppose we must stop at nothing. Well placed, I think.
we're gonna have to do something like that. And then of course this guy we sort of trapped up
I do not love
something
these,
heavy
but
as
I
they were
suppose
coming
I
through
love our
before.
enemy less.
And you could put a couple of ballista or haymakers or something up here. It wouldn't be too bad. But I don't really have much else to actually use up there.
A soldier fights as they are trained.
Thinking about it though, could have done some of that over here. Actually, I want to be careful with that. You can throw the small enemies over over the areas you don't want them to go. If you do it that way.
Final wave approaches.
I would rather feel my enemy's last breath upon my cheek. Crude, but I suppose we must stop at nothing.
An unstable rift is opening. Destroy it. Well
All right.
done. The unstable rift has been destroyed.
This should pretty much be it. The boss that's going to be over on the right is not really going to be hard to deal with. He's just going to kind of come out and stumble through all of the fire.
Let's go the blades of winter.
And you can freeze him even though he's ice.
Enemy's bossman in. Who disturbs my watch?
Whether vanquished or victorious, it is important to have fought.
Just gotta let them know, even if they're ice elemental, you gotta unleash some of that Arctos whoop ass on them. Okay, so that's that. Traps did most of the damage. You can see that Tundra really did not do much there at all, and that is partially due to the fact that the enemies are resistant to them, as well as just, you know, fire traps being good. If you're weak, make sure you exploit if you're weak against the enemies, make sure you exploit whatever they're weak against to the best of your ability so that you don't have any issues to deal with. But from there, we're going to go to an area where Tundra actually should be really good at dealing with most of the enemies. We're heading into the Gates of Thorikvad next, and that's probably one of my favorite just words or places that were created in Orcs just because of the name. But Thorikvad is generally a really hot place. There's a lot, usually fire enemies, there's lava hazards, though, you know, you have to not fall into those, but we're going to be there next, and it's going to be bright and red and fun, so hopefully you guys are there too. But until next time, take care of yourselves as always. I sincerely appreciate you for stopping by and tuning in, and have a good one, folks.